All right, so I got this train going to La Mirada. It's mixed. Oh, let me back up here. So I got this mixed manifest train leaving out of Barstow, and I just AI recruit it, and it's going to be going down to La Mirada. But what I did is in the symbol, I went with a BAR SBD, Barstow to San Bernardino symbol. I put that on the lead locomotive, so he'll go to San Bernardino yard. However, I don't want him to go in the yard. I'm just using it kind of as a checkpoint so that I don't forget about this train and it ends up going off the map. If I had it tagged for LMC, La Mirada, auto can't route into La Mirada. So if I forgot about this train and wasn't paying attention, he would go past the yard and just go off the map. So what I'm going to try doing here, just kind of as a test, is I'm going to route him into San Bernardino, but I'm not going to allow him to go in because I placed a high rail forward in the way. I'll show you here in a second. So let me jump back down to San Bernardino. I gotta make a new extra board save here. So I'm gonna do, this is the east end of the yard. Let's see, let's go over here. And I'll just do F1, extra board. Save it. I'm just getting rid of some of these original extra board saves and adding my own. All right, so now what I did here is Otto's going to try to route. All right, so the train's going to be coming from here down the Cajon Pass, and it's going to be on the right here, and Otto's going to try to route him into San Bernardino because I got it tagged SBD. But I put this high rail forward here, so what I'm hoping is that the train will stop at this light because he won't be allowed to go through because the high rail's there. And then I'll see that he's stopped, and I might even get a message. I'm not sure if I'll get a message like, so yeah, like the train stopped at this light, hand throw or like stuff like that. I might get a message letting me know he's kind of stuck, but we'll see. But then I can jump down here and I'll change his routing and I'll have him go to LMC, and then I might take him into LMC once he gets down here myself, or I'll just have the AI do it, but then I'll watch it really closely, all the way so I don't forget. But at least now, by doing it this way, at least now I don't have to actually watch it here on the dispatch screen. Like here, where's he at over here? He's right here. I don't have to remember and watch him down the whole Cajon sub and everything. See, here's the red. That's where that high rail is. That's why that's red. So hopefully he's going to stop right here in this block. And then I'll take him from there, maybe myself, to La Mirada. Oh, we got a new supply train into West Colton. Maybe we'll do send one over the hump now. Let's jump over there. Well, that's pretty cool here. Earhauser. All right, let's get a train going over the hump here. Let's see, let's do the new one. That's this one. Is this the front? All right, so I'm going to send this one over the hump. But it's probably got some DPUs on it. It's got 2 DPUs. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna do it I'm gonna have my yard crew take care of it. So what I do is I just go F1 train, save it as this temporary train. I'll just overwrite that. And now what I can do is I need to open up the external consist editor. Okay, now that I got this open, what I can do is I'll go here to stored consist, hit load, and then I'm going to load this temporary file that I just saved. So here's the train that's sitting right in front of me. And I'm just going to take off, let's see, so I want all the freight cars because we're going to send these over the hump. I'm going to drag those over here. I'll take these 2-9s. I wonder why the direction is strange. And then that's all that I need. So then I'll hit File, Save, and I'll overwrite this one. So now what I can do here is I'll delete this one, and then I'll go F1 train temporary because that's what I just saved it as. Load into consist editor. And now you can see we got the whole train that we were just looking at, but there's no DPUs on the back anymore. And now I can do place, and there we go. And now I'll change this tag to hump. So now the AI will take it over the hump. And I can, let's see, before I do that though, let me just check the, oh, you know what? I'm actually I can do it here, but let's have the desktop recording. I'm using the dispatcher.net, the external dispatcher. So I got to go to, what was it? Is it not Cajon? The, oh, it's got to be over here. Mojave South? No, Alhambra. That's where it is. All right. So you don't really see the yard though, but this is it. These are all the yard tracks here, departure and receiving. So here's the one. See the hump there? That's our train. And, oh, wait a minute. Can I not route it to the hump with this? Oh, I might not be able to. I might have to use in-game. I guess I never really tried it. Let's see, departure. Yeah, it just tells you what track is what. I think I can route into and out of the yard. But I can't I don't think it'll let me throw the switches for the yard. I'll have to look into that more, but that's no problem. All right, so we'll just do it right here. So here's our train, and then I need him to go up that way and then turn this way and then straight to the hump there. Oh, wait. This one's got to be... That one's got to be normal. So I think the R is reversed, N is normal. So we're going to go reversed, which will send him left. This will send him right, and then we'll go straight through here. So now what I can do is I'll come over to the area where all the locomotives are stored. And this just makes it easier because otherwise you'd have to manually babysit the AI or you'd have to drive them in yourself, which is fine. I like doing it sometimes, but when you got a lot going on, it can get it just I mean, that might take 25 minutes just to drive those 2 DPUs that I pulled off the rear and take them over here to these tracks. So now all I gotta do is so I use these first 2. All I need to do is just grab this SD40 because we didn't use that before, and these 2 DPUs on the rear, put them all together. I'll hit save it over temporary again. Just hit OK a bunch of times. And that's it. So now I can close that, and I can clear this, and then I'll just load this up into the consist editor, this temporary one. And there's the 3 locomotives, and then I'll just hit place. And it's that easy. Now, the only thing to keep in mind is typically when you do this using that method, the numbers will change. So if you're particular about what numbers, if you're like keeping track, the numbers that are on these 3 right here are probably different than the ones that were on the train that came into the yard, because when you place a train, it usually changes the numbers on me. So just something to keep in mind. But for me, it doesn't matter what numbers they are, if it's the same or not. So, but yeah, you could just see doing it with that method just saves a tremendous amount of time. So now I can go check on the train. I can go back to Barstow. Maybe we'll get a train going over the hump. We can have 2 at the same time, one down at West Colton, one up at Barstow. And I'll just double check. All right, so here's our train coming through. And I think before I go up to Barstow and maybe get a train going over there, over the hump, I'll just make sure that the switches are lined up correctly for this one. Because if you don't have the switches lined up correctly going over the hump here, this train's it'll just keep going and you'll be in a mess. It'll go somewhere, wherever the track's lined. All right, so let's go check it out. We're going this way, left, right here, and then straight through. And we'll be coming on this track. See, this would have messed us up right here. So I got to make sure we got that straight. And now we're good. All right, so it's going to be a little bit before this even gets going. Let's jump back over to Barstow. Go over to the bowl. And this track, I don't know what number it is. Let's see if I put the tags on. But it's getting pretty full here. This is track 20. And it's all La Mirada cars, LMC. And that's the train I just sent out of here, was LMC. We got quite a few, so I might have to, we'll see it. Like, so this is an example. As you get going and you get trains coming in, if you find that you've got too many for one actually, it's not that full. If you've got too many cars for a particular industry, so that's LMC, what I could do is come up here, Shift F2, AI traffic generation, spawn points. Here's where a lot of them are coming in, mixed freight. Here's all my symbols, and then I'd come in here and I'd say, all right, I'd look for the BNSF LMCs, these here. So we got 4 here, 4 locals for La Mirada Yard. I can uncheck them if I'm getting too many. And that way, and I can do that on several of the symbols or all of the symbols here. And then it'll obviously drastically reduce or slightly reduce depending on how many you uncheck from each of these symbols. And that, so you can kind of tune so you don't get inundated with a particular industry and supply cars. So I'm going to use the same technique here. I do this just in the big yards, typically like West Colton or Barstow, just because another, again, like I've done it in earlier episodes, and I'll do it again. But to move this cut with these two switchers, the bowl switchers, to pull it out and back it onto one of these tracks all the way down would probably be 20 minutes, something around in that, give or take. But here, this is even easier because we don't have DPUs like we just used the trick over in the West Colton yard. All I got to do is I usually like to hit relinquish Alt R just to make sure. So now, all right, that's my controlling unit. I just now do Control F1, bring up the train maker upper, hit clear, hit copy player train, and these are all this is this cut right here now in the maker upper. Before deleting this, I will place it just to make sure everything's okay, and then I'll come back. So then all I got to do is I'm just going to put these on a departure track. And I'm not going to put any locomotives on it now because it's probably going to be a little bit before I end up sending it. But then I just open up the train maker upper again, hit place train. And there we go. So I just moved that cut from the bowl track here in less than 1 minute, 30 seconds. And now I can delete it out of the bowl track over here. There's the La Mirada cut, LMC. Boom. So as you got trains coming over the hump, you can just do that as a track gets full and not have to worry about stopping the train that's going over the hump. And it just allows you to get, when the yard gets busy, you're going to have a lot going on, and it just allows you to keep things moving if you're in single player. Because typically on a multiplayer server, then you're going to have a guy that's like dedicated just to working the yard. You'll have a yard master, and that would be his job, just moving stuff around. But in this case, when you're one man, you got to use some of these tips and tricks to be able to manage an entire railroad. And even then, it's almost impossible because there's just so much to do. All right, so let's get this one going over the hump here. And I got mid-train DPUs, and there's none on the rear. I probably took those off before. But what I'll do... All right, so what I'm going to do now is the same thing that I just did down in West Colton. I'm going to save this train under temporary. I will bring up the external consist editor. I'm going to load it into the left side here, and then I'm going to take these two ES44s we'll use to push. Take all these freight cars in between. Now, there's one feature that the old consist editor had that I loved, which was it would actually pull the cars, it would shift them from this temporary side over here, and it would shift them over here to the right window. Whereas now you can't delete or take away from this left column section here. It's not the end of the world, but it was awesome because it just made it so easy to move things around and keep track. Whereas now what I need to do here, so let me just change this to Hump. And then I can do save. I'll just save it as the temporary. Overwrite. Let's see. I'll show you here in a second. So I can get rid of this one. And then I'll do F1, temporary, load into consist editor, place. And there we go. Now it's tagged Hump because I did that in the consist editor. And then if I scroll down, it's just supply cars. There's no DPUs. I'll do an AI recrew. And let me just make sure that the switches are going the right way. Oh, so let's do it in... This one you can do in here. So if I go up to Barstow Yard, here's our train here, this Hump one. I can flip these, and I got to get them going. I want them to this. There's two humps. See Hump there and there. But there's, if I send him over this way, there's some hand throws that get him down. So I want him to go the way it's routed currently. Is perfect. I can minimize that. And then see how the number changed? It was something in the 7s before, so just be aware of that. So he'll start pushing. There he goes, the bell. So he'll start pushing back here in a second. And then I just have to go back into here, clear this out, and then grab the 2 SD40s. And these 3. Save it as temporary. Oh, I gotta change the direction. Alright, so this guy's pushing these back over the hump. We got cars, you can see the tags in the top left. Those are the cars currently going over the hump at West Colton. I'll jump back to that here in a second. I just want to place down the locomotives that I just pulled off. Let's see, can I? Oh, those are full. We're kind of full here because I haven't really had too many outbound trains. So let's load. What do we got? 5? I don't know if it'll let me place. Oh, it will. Good. Because sometimes when you're that close to other trains, you can't just place them down. Yeah, I won't worry about refueling or anything. So that's good there. And then I can just clear this out and this. Just want to double check that the routing looks good here. And let's jump back over to the West Colton hump. Oh, you see how it put me on the ground? That's because I was on the ground. So, because remember, when you're doing an extra board movement, if you put yourself in, if it's saved in the air, it'll keep you in the air. But if you're saved, so for example, if I go over here to the West Colton Bowl, see how I appeared in the air? That's because I loaded it while I was in the air. If I had loaded it, that extra board location, hit load while I was standing on the ground, I would have appeared here, but like that on the ground. So now, oh, you could see, there's the cars coming into the bowl here. So now that I'm in the air, I can go back here to this one and now see how I'm up in the air. I didn't appear on the ground. So in probably a minute or so, oh yeah, he's almost at the hump. So in, yeah, probably about a minute or less, we'll have 2 trains going over, being sorted simultaneously at 2 different yards. Let's see where our La Mirada train is that we sent down before. Oh, let me do it in here because I think my desktop's still recording. Cajon sub. So here it is right here. Barstow to SBD. He's approaching East Oro Grande. Oh, I got an Amtrak train waiting for this train? What's that about? Oh, he's at the Amtrak station. But if he's going this way, he's going to have to wait. Huh. Let's check this out. We want to go, what was that? The A4 AI status. This one here. Where is this guy? Oh, he's just approaching the Victorville station. Oh, you know what? Those are manual throws to get up to this. Oh no, I guess he'll stop here. Must be 2 station tracks, so he's gonna pull in right here. At least I think he's gonna stop here, but maybe he's not. You gonna block the street? Yeah, I think he's just gonna block it. What I'm wondering is, once he goes again, yeah, he's gonna be stuck there. I have to wait for this train. Oh well. Now, one thing that I learned that's pretty cool just yesterday is if I right click. So this is not in Run 8. We're in the dispatcher.net external dispatcher. And you can get this for free off of if you go to the depot website and scroll to the bottom, and I can add a link too, but there's a link at the bottom of the depot's website. But so see how this is HBAR SBD, and then I put the 3 zeros at the end, so I know it's a tag train that I have to pay attention to. But if I wanted, using this, I can come in here and do edit, and you get all kinds of cool options. Now, these are not going to change anything within Run 8. These are just going to change things externally for you as a dispatcher. And as far as I know, I tested it yesterday, and it doesn't save. So like I added a comment yesterday, and then I closed this and then reopened it, and then the comment was gone. So even though I hit save, I think it just saves any info to this specific session until you close it. Then you'd have to, so don't like add too much information that you're hoping would stay for a long time. But I'm going to go back here. So here's the symbol. And then I'm going to change this on here to, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm just kind of showing you an example, but I could even just put La Mirada, just letting me know that's the train going to La Mirada. If I hit save, now it's saying the tag for the train is La Mirada. But it doesn't change it within Run 8, only here. So if I go back to Run 8 and I open up the AI trains, you'll see, oh, this one down here is this is a grain train, but I'm testing out a Union Pacific symbol on a BNSF train because I think that this BR should bring it into the Barstow inspection yard. I'm going to test it out. But anyways, see, it's just still HBAR SBD. And then if I turn the tag on, it's still BAR SBD. So changing it in the external dispatcher only changes it there. It doesn't actually change it in the sim. So, but it's kind of cool because you can just add little notes. so I could come in here and edit, go to the comment section and say, like, this train needs to go to La Mirada Yard. And then it's saved in there until I close this program. We got a bit of a problem here at the Barstow Hump, and this is a perfect spot to end episode 12 of the SoCal series. But you're just going to have to wait in extreme anticipation for episode 13 to find out what happens here.